Welcome back to the Tournament Center. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David-Marshall. Pro Tour Yokohama is in the books, and Guillaume Wafo-Tapa is the winner. This is a guy you've been watching for years.
We saw Guillaume Wafo-Tapa really for the first time we took notice of him.
Yeah.
Was Honolulu, where he had a top 16 finish with the blue-white deck that became.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden the PTQ round was all about Wafo-Tapa. Everybody's been playing this guy's decks for years. He hasn't actually had the top 8, but he's had top 16s. He's had money finishes. He's turned himself into a Pro Tour regular. And then last year at Worlds, in the World Championships came to Paris. This he's a French player. He's from France. He's in with a lot of the Pro Tour regulars there, like Pierre Canali. And he built the deck for Paris, Dralnu de Louvre. Right, if you weren't playing the Wafo-Tapa in the PTQs, you probably played with or against Dralnu in Standard ever since he unleashed it on the Worlds at Paris.
It's become a Standard staple. Blue-black control. The guy's also established himself as a control deck master.
Absolutely.
So rivaling Yasuoka now for the control deck title.
So his decks have been winning. He's been making money. He's established himself on the train, and now in one of the most skillful formats, in one of the most impressive top 8s that we've seen in years, Guillaume Wafo-Tapa emerged on top.
Yeah, 23 top 8s at the table.
Yes.
And he's got his first one, and he navigated his way to the top, to the trophy stage.
A lot of people feel like you can tell how good a format is and constructed by figuring out, how are the really skilled players able to do, the players that you've heard of. And so you'll see a lot of pros. I mean, it's a little cynical, but you look and you say, oh, there's Masashi Oiso in the top 8, and Raphael Levy, and Mark Herberholz, and all these guys that have been around and been successful. It's like, it must be a good format. And you saw a lot of diversity. Everyone was expecting White Weenie. White Weenie did not do well. In fact, it was a lot of the anti-White Weenie decks that rose to the top of the field was red, green, blue, black, different variations on those. A lot of different cards to choose from. Those were the decks at the top. And we saw in the quarterfinals, it was pretty interesting. He said a lot of good matchups. Masashi Oiso in his 6th top 8 going up against Mark Herberholz. And Heezy managed to win that, the blue-black deck taking out Oiso. Saw Hall of Famer Raphael Levy in this top 8.
Who's been on a constructed tear.
Absolutely.
Putting together an amazing season, making a Player of the Year run.
Definitely. He's won 2 Grand Prix, top 8 of this constructed tournament. Just amazing constructed rating at this point. He's been racking up the pro points.
Playing red deck wins.
And somehow he feels like since he won the Hall of Fame, he's got something to prove. I don't quite get that part, but it works for him apparently. So, great player. Bunch of great players to this, but Levy did get taken out in the quarters. He lost to Tomoharu Saito. So
playing in his 4th top 8.
Yeah. So then you had Saito versus Kazuya Mitamura. Mitamura takes out Saito, setting up the finals bash. Mitamura versus Wafo-Tapa.
And at first glance, it looks like a blue-black mirror. You're like, oh, 2 control decks. But there's so many cards available in this block that people were able to take the same tentpole cards.
Right. Damnation,
Cancel, Careful Consideration, build these blue-black decks, and take them in 2 completely different directions.
Yeah, these were 2 different archetypes. Mitamura was playing a Pickles deck. He's trying to set up Brine Elemental, Vesuvian Shapeshifter. He's trying to lock the opponent up, sort of stasis lock style. That's really the direction he was trying to go with this deck. A lot of creatures, Shadow Mage Infiltrators. On the other hand, you've got Wafo-Tapa, very different deck. He's playing Mystical Teachings. He's got a bunch of Silver Bullet 1-ofs. He's trying to play the control game. He's trying to kill creatures. Very few creatures actually in his deck. Very much of a classic control deck. So he kind of had control versus a prison-style lock deck in the finals.
Almost combo.
Almost
control versus combo.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wafo-Tapa's deck looking very much like a Gifts deck of yore, or an Enlightened Tutor deck, or any deck where you have these discrete targets in your deck that you want to get in any given situation. It's an excellent deck, excellent player.
Wafo-Tapa took the first couple of games, seemed like he understood the matchup, knew exactly how to play. Lost the 3rd game. Mitamura was able to stitch his combo together, but through Wafo-Tapa gave himself a lot of outs. If you set up that game, it's a great replay.
If you watch the replay of that 3rd game, yeah, there's just some tremendously
even while the guy was losing, he was clearly doing a great job.
Right.
4th game, though, Guillaume Wafo-Tapa, he managed to get a quick Draining Welk out of nowhere. It's like all of a sudden his deck went beat down. It was about turn 6 or 7. This huge Draining Welk comes down, counters a Careful Consideration. Suddenly there's a 5/5 flyer. No, countered to Teferi. 6/6 flyer. That Draining Welk, there's nothing Mitamura could do. All of a sudden, he's on his back foot. He can't kill a creature. He's the one with the creatures trying to stitch his combo together.
In fact, he sided out his removal.
Exactly. So Guillaume Wafo-Tapa comes over for the win, wins the finals 3-1. Very worthy Pro Tour champion. $40,000 to Guillaume Wafo-Tapa. 25 pro points, catapults him up the Player of the Year race. Just a great weekend for him.
Fantastic weekend for everybody. It's been a ton of fun here.
It has been. The other fun thing that's been going on the Future Sight pre-release.
Yep.
You know, these pros, when they weren't playing in the main event, they were across the hall playing in the pre-release, getting their first look at Future Sight. And now it's kind of interesting as you look. This time spiral block constructed format is now ready to go into a PTQ round. You've seen what the pros have done with the format, but Future Sight comes in. It's like, what, the rest is left as an exercise to the reader.
Right. They've laid the foundation, and now you have to put in the brand new kitchen and the furnished basement. And
format seems like a lot of fun. Format seems really diverse. Seems like you can do a lot of different things with it. Very interesting to see how this PTQ round shapes up.
It seems like there's a lot of wild cards in Future Sight that are going to have a pretty significant impact, and there's really good mana in Future Sight.
Yeah,
there's a lot of mana fixing. There's a cycle of lands that I think are going to just have unforeseen impact on the format.
Should be fun. The next Pro Tour will be Pro Tour San Diego. Brian will be there. I'll be there. It'll be two-headed giant.
John Finkel will be there.
John Finkel will be there. Everybody's coming there. Everybody's choosing up teams, figuring out who they're going to play, who's going to play with whom. San Diego should be a lot of fun. Tournament Center will be there bringing you live coverage. For Brian David-Marshall, this is Randy Buehler signing off from Yokohama. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.